Hello and welcome to Star Citizen Sunday. This is a weekly show which covers all the news from Star Citizen from the week just past. I am your host Mac, so let's get on with it. This week, 3.5.1 went live. Dave Coulson talks about the upcoming hover mode due in 3.6. There is a free fly going on until the 13th of June, where you get to try out some of the Origin ships, which include the Origin 85X, the 300 series, the M50 Racer, and the cool luxury 600i. If you haven't created an account already, follow the link below to do so, or use my code up there in the top left-hand corner, which will get you 5,000 United Earth credits for free, plus a little kickback for me, which is very much appreciated. Do let me know how you get on in the Verse. And don't forget, we still have the Tumbril Ranger 3-pack giveaway going on. You have until the 12th of June, so be sure to follow the link in the description below to enter. So on Inside Star Citizen this week, they kicked off with a little look at the ship customization. This is obviously for the 300 series. I won't go into all the various choices as we've already seen them and I've made a video on it anyway. But some of the points I did find interesting is that for 3.5.1, we are only getting the web side of this customization, meaning you can only use real money to upgrade your 300 variants right now. The in-game version of this, which uses United Earth credits that you can earn and spend in-game, is coming next, but there is no date for this. My guess is that it'll be around 3.6, as we know that we're getting the ship purchasing kiosk in Astro Armada at Area 18, so my guess would be around coming in with that system. Basically, if you buy and upgrade your ship on the web spending real money, if you then choose to melt that ship, you will get 100% of that ship price, and all the items you bought will come back in store credit. If you want to change the customizations you bought, like if you upgraded it in yellow and you wanted it in red, the only way to do this is to melt it again and start afresh using your store credit. A bit of a pain, but you know, it is the web-based one. And if you CCU up to another ship, your items and customizations will get melted again into store credit, so you don't lose the cash, basically. It's a very good system. I would obviously prefer the game version. I was hoping we'd get that for 3.5.1. It's a little annoying we didn't, but I'm sure it'll come once they get sorted. So next up, Dave Coulson has been working on the upcoming hover mode for the ship flight system. Basically, in 3.6, when in hover mode, all of your thrusters on your ships are directed downwards. These are your maneuvering thrusters. You can see here that if you tilt forward, the ship will slowly begin to move forward. The blue line there indicates your velocity. If you tilt the ship backwards, it'll slow you down again. No longer will you be able to hover at any angle. This means that it'll look and feel a lot more realistic. You can still press spacebar and strafe upwards if you wish, but if you want to go back into normal flight mode, then you need to hold down the W key, at which point your thrusters will adjust and kick back into forward flight again. If you want to engage the hover mode, you've got to come down to a certain speed, and then it'll either forcibly go into hover mode, or if your ship has dedicated VTOL thrusters, you can then press a button manually and it'll switch to hover mode. Now, you obviously don't have the normal strafe controls, as your maneuvering thrusters are all facing downwards, but you can tilt your ship from side to side or whichever direction you want to move in. This, I think, looks really interesting. I am hoping it feels right, and I'm looking forward to trying it out. It looks like it's going in the right direction. This, I think, will really play into its own, especially in ships like the Prospector. If you're trying to mine, it'll make it a lot more challenging if you're just balancing your ship. Also, shooting at targets on the ground will need to be a bit more skill-based, ensuring that you're stable and you're not just going to go pirouetting into the ground. Anyway, do let me know your thoughts on that one. It's coming along. Again, 3.6 is when we'll get this, so the end of this month. Hopefully, we get our hands on it in the PTU soon. So to finish off with on Inside Star Citizen is another look at the Origin 890 jump. They're busy in final art phase now, going through just a handful of different areas, just finishing them off. We started by looking at the bridge, the main bridge. This is looking really nice. The entryway is looking cool with this Origin logo, and then you've got stairs either side to the higher tier, which features a cool globe map. Very much looking forward to getting on one of those and figuring out how it works. The pilot seat, the co-pilot seat, and the engineer's station. It has taken hallmarks from the 600i, very similar styling to it. You can also see along the sides here there are extra screens for gameplay reasons. It looks like there's 6 sets of 2 screens. Be interesting to hear what CIG are expecting from bridge gameplay, or how they expect us to approach it. But on the lower tier, there are 2 component cupboards for avionics. Now after that, we went down a few decks, or lower decks, and it featured this battle bridge. Basically, you can control the ship as you could on the normal bridge. However, down here, you are more protected and less vulnerable. It does look like your visibility is a bit less as well. Obviously, you no longer got the windows, but the seats at the front are for the remote gunners, and then the one at the back, I suppose, is for the captain. They say it needs a little more adding to it to make it final, but this, I think, is a really nice idea. We did have a good discussion about this on Twitch, about why does it need a battle bridge, why aren't other military-esque ships having battle bridges. All of this sort of stuff I will probably put into a separate video and talk about, but as always, if you want to come and join in the conversations on Twitch, please do so. It is twitch.tv/supermacbrothers_Ryan. A little further down the corridor from the battle bridge is the armory. A lot of storage here for weapons, items and armor. And then further on from there is the med bay, which is quite cool. It's divided into 2 areas. You have sort of a quarantine area that you can see through the window. Inside there's a bed. We don't know whether it's a tier 1, tier 2 or tier 3 bed. I'm sure they'll decide that when the time comes. But again, they need to dress everywhere, make it feel more alive. But I am really loving how the 890 Jump is coming along. It is going to be an epic ship, and I cannot wait to start messing around on board. And we know that there's this sort of 890 Jump FPS mission coming down the line. We'll have to wait and see what that is. But anyway, do let me know your thoughts. Let's move on. So on this week's Star Citizen Live, they were talking to one of the visual effects creators. They had some various demos in the background, which I will be playing as we talk about them. But obviously, visual effects do affect every area of the game, and it's one of those things that if it's done right, you generally don't notice them too much. Obviously, if it's done wrong, it stands out, it doesn't look correct. They're used in environments, ships, weapons, items, just every single area. Now, we saw some test scenes where they have a simple spark effect, and you can see that these particles actually collide with the environment. The gravity and wind affects them as well. Here, I think he says that there's about 20,000 particles in this one effect. You can increase or decrease that if you want. You can see that they actually tried 200,000 particles, and the environment got very dark because they're simulating real-world exposure. Now, you can change the speed of the particle over the time of that particle's life. So as it gets older, it could get faster or slower. This allows for some very unique visual effects. And these don't have to always be known visual effects. They can really go to town and just create some very interesting looking effects, which we will show later on in the background. They did speak briefly about gas clouds. He tried to get a demonstration of like a Gladius's MFDs being affected by the gas cloud, but it didn't really work. You can kind of see one thing flickering in the top left hand corner. The idea is that some gas clouds can affect your EM or electromagnetic readings, meaning that if you fly through it or close to it, then your MFDs will start being interfered with and maybe you won't be able to see so well. They showed off some lightning effect as well. We also got to see this very unusual spline guided effect. Now this, I feel, would be excellent for some sort of alien creature, like a jellyfish in some way, that if you touched one of its tentacles, it kind of created like an EMP effect and your ship was rendered paralyzed. I think that could be a very cool game mechanic or mission where you have to go and rescue someone. But you got to see a plasma ball explosion effect as well. They did add camera shake and fog, which is interesting because you can add other areas of visual effects to them just to create a bit more atmosphere to it. They did also show us the test case that they had during CitizenCon with all the sparks and the lightning up those little metal rods, really showing off a variety of effects that they can produce. I'm hoping that we will see some crazy alien effects as they start spreading them out in the verse. Now, they spoke about decoupled lighting updates, and they showed us Delamar in particular. What this does is it brings higher quality shadows, makes them more natural. I did notice that Delamar's shadows have been very offish and sort of inconsistent, so hopefully this means that they will be more consistent with how they're supposed to look. They showed us the drug lab, which belongs to Wallace Klim, the mission giver at Levski. You can see these light rays coming through this fan, which looks really, really nice. Obviously, it's a bit difficult to see just on the video I'm showing because it's been compressed so many times, but in-game it will look fantastic. They showed us a little space anomaly, which again looks very cool. Unusual effect to draw intrigue. And they have actually just implemented some improvements to the shader, which is really simple stuff, they say, but it brings the ability to fade particles in and out at certain distances. I think this has been in before and they removed it, but they've brought it back, which is good. After this, they spoke about thrusters and how the thruster slider can increase or decrease the thruster effects. There are lots of various parameters which can affect the look of the thruster. It's not just going to be on or off. You can have things like damage, overheating, boosting, all these different types of various parameters that just affect the look of it. He finished off by showing off like a weapon impact effect and a giant explosion, which again I'll show in the background. There was only a couple of questions that were really any interest. One of them is to do with user graphic settings variation, so us being able to choose our graphical settings, how are they going to make sure that it's all accurate for everyone. Now they say that they've not obviously locked all the system specs down as it's heavily in development, but they do have a max distance level of detail, and this is going back to the particles, so they can set the count of the particles based on the distance and reduce the amount of them as you get further away. Similar to what they do with ships and the ship level of details. The details change as the distance increases and decreases. And the final question was, how do you test the effects in different lighting sources? And he says they have a time of day slider and you always want to make sure that it looks right in its location, so they try and do it in situ. And obviously test it to its fullest in all manner of locations, different lighting and so forth. There's kind of a checklist that they go through. But anyway, that was the Star Citizen Live. Very cool to see some of these effects. I'm looking forward to seeing more of these get into the game. It's excellent work that they're doing here. So also this week, June's subscriber flare features 2 Rust Society jackets. There's a new lore post titled One Last Job, which I have started but didn't get a chance to finish, so I'm looking forward to continuing on with that one. And for the release of 3.5.1, there is currently an Origin celebration, which features a new commercial and a new post to let you compare the old with the new, plus a screenshot competition. I will link it below, so if you want to enter, please do so. So that brings us to the end of the show. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a video. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and share the video with all your friends. If you like what I do and want to help me make it better, follow the link below to my Patreon page to learn more.